Django has 16 class-based views, and in this video, I'm going to explain how each one works and what are the minimum required attributes to use each one. But first, let me show you the two things that I need for these examples. So first is a model. So I have this event model that has a name and event date. It also has this get absolute URL that will just return the URL for the detail page for this particular event object. And then for the form, we just have an event form that takes in the name and the event date. So the first view is just view. And the idea behind this is it allows you to use any HTTP method as a method name in the class. So for example, I have this get method here. The idea is anytime a get request is sent to view example, this get method will be called and the code inside of this method will run. So in this case, it just renders a template. And you can do the same thing for post requests, delete requests, patch, put, whatever you want that matches an HTTP request. The URL for this looks like this. So the idea is you can put it on any path. There are no requirements to the actual URL that you use. And then you take the name of the class and then you do .asView on it and then use parentheses. So you need to call asView. This will be the same for every single view that we're going to demonstrate in this video because they all inherit from this view class. So if you want to organize your views in this way, you can just inherit from view. Or if you want to do something more specialized, you can use one of the following 15 views. So the next view is going to be the template view. And the idea with the template view is you simply need to pass in a template name. And then anytime this view is triggered, the template here will be rendered. So inside of my templates here, I have an index.html. And then over in urls.py, if I just use the template view example call .asView, this works the same way. So whatever endpoint that I specify here in the path, that will trigger this template view example, and then the template index.html will be rendered for that request. The next view is going to be the redirect view. So the redirect view, the idea is anytime this view gets triggered, it redirects the user to some other location. So you have two options. You can redirect to a URL. So in this case, I'm redirecting to my website, prettyprinter.com. Or you can redirect to a pattern name. So instead of URL, you have pattern name here. You just put in the name of a path that you have defined here in URL patterns. So the way that this path looks is we just use the same pattern. We call .asView on whatever our view is, and then the path does not matter at all. So now that covers the first three views. These are the base views. These are pretty straightforward. The next views deal with displaying. So the first of those is the list view. So with the list view, you just pass it a model and it will then run a query to get all of the objects for that model and then fill in a template with them. And then what it's going to do is it's going to take the name of the model, so events, and then it's going to append underscore list to what it's looking for in the template. So if you want to modify the name of the template, you just pass in a template name similar to a template view, but by default, it's going to be the name of the model underscore list. And then inside the model, you're going to get an object list that you can loop over, and then you can just display the data like this. So I have event name and event date. The URL is similar in the sense that it doesn't require you to put anything on the path. And then you have the name of the class and then as view again. And then of course you can have a name for the URL itself. So list view shows you multiple objects. So if you want to show just one, then you can use the detail view. And the idea with the detail view is you also pass in a model. So here we're also passing in an event, but instead of getting a list of things, you're going to get one. So the template for this is going to be under event underscore detail. So the name of the model underscore detail. And then you're going to have a variable called object that represents the event object or whatever you have. And then you can just do dot and then the attributes. So object.name and object.event date will show this information. So now this is the first URL that we're dealing with that can't just be anything. Instead, this needs to have either a primary key reference or a slug reference. So in this example, I'm using the primary key. So the primary key is an integer, and then it's represented by PK. And then that PK will be passed the detail view example view. And then Django will automatically take whatever PK, query the database for that particular event or whatever object you're dealing with, and then pass the data to the template. And then the rest of it works the same, .asView as all the other ones. So that covers the two views that display things. So now let's go on to the views that actually allow you to modify data in the database. So the first of those is going to be the form view. So the form view allows you to work with a form, and it takes three things at a minimum. So we have the form class, so the event form that I showed you before. Then we have a template, so form.html, and then we have a success URL. So the idea is it will render whatever form that you have here, and then inside the form, it's going to pass a form object, and then you can render that. And then the success URL is where it redirects to. So in this case, I'm just redirecting to the index. And then the URL for this is going to be anything you want it to be. So it doesn't require a primary key. And then the rest works as before. So the form view can work for basic forms, but the power of Django is you can use model forms. So to use model forms using these generic class-based views, you can start with the create view. So with the create view, the idea is you just pass in a model, so the event model, and then the fields that you want to allow the user to add. So in this case, name and event date. And then Django will figure out how to build the form, and then it will allow you to display this in the template. So with the template for this, if we go over to event_form, we see here we're going to get this form object inside of the form in the same way that we get it for the form view. And then we can do ASP or however you want to format this inside of the template. And then when this gets submitted, the post request will go automatically to the post method for this create view example, which you don't have to define because it's defined for you. And then the thing will be created for you. And then this will automatically redirect to the get absolute URL value for the new event that was just created. And the URL for this, pretty straightforward. It can be on any endpoint, and then the rest works like all the others. The next view is the update view. So the update view allows you to update things. So this is similar to create in the sense that you just pass in an event and the fields that you want to update. So this is exactly the same. It also uses the same exact template, so the event form. And the idea is the only difference between the create and update is when you trigger the update view, you're going to have the data for the particular object that you're looking at. And to get that object, the URL needs to have either a primary key or a slug. So in this example, I have the primary key. So if I were to pass in primary key of 10, for example, it will query the database for the ID equals 10, and then it will get that object and then fill in the form with the existing values for that object. And then I'll be able to edit them in the form, submit, and then those will get updated in the database. The post method for this will handle updating in the way that you expect. And then after it's done, it will redirect the user to the get absolute URL value for the event. The next view is going to be the delete view. So the delete view allows users to delete things. So instead of allowing the user to fill in a form, the idea is once this gets triggered, something will be deleted from the database. So for this particular one, you need two things. So you do need the model. So you need to know what you're deleting from. But because you won't have an event object after you delete it, you need to have a place where this is going to redirect. So in this particular case, I'm saying the success URL is going to be / meaning the index. For the template here, this is going to be the name of the model. So event_confirm delete. And the idea here is it's just a confirmation form. So here I wrote, are you sure you want to delete object.name? And then all you have to do is basically have a button. So the form itself is going to be hidden. The CSRF token is also hidden, but the user will be able to see the button. So once they press this button, a post request will be sent over to the backend, which is automatically generated from this delete view. And then the object will be deleted, and then the user will be returned to success URL. For the URL for this, you do need a primary key or a slug as before because you are deleting a specific object. So that's it for all the views that deal with modifying data in the database. So now the last group of views deal with dates. The first of which is the archive index view. So the idea of the archive index view is it will give you a list of all of the things in the model ordered by the date field that you provide. So you have to provide a date field in addition to the model. That's what makes it different from the list view. So the template for this is going to be event_archive or whatever the name of your object is. And in here you get latest. I'm not quite sure why they use latest and not object list because you'll see object list everywhere after this, but they called it latest for the archive view. And then this will just show you the name and the event date. And remember, this latest is ordered by the date field automatically. Also, they give you this date list, which will show you all the years that you have data for. So if you've had data for the past 5 years, for example, this is going to be 5 items long. It's going to be the year for each of the past 5 years. The URL for this is whatever you want it to be. So it doesn't require anything in the URL, and then you just call as view on it like everything else. The next view is going to be the year archive view. So the year archive view will give you all of the items for a given year. So once again, you pass in the model and then the date field. And then inside of the template, we can go over to event archive _ year. And this object list that you get here is going to be a list of all of the objects that happen in the given year. So here I have the year. So they give you which year that you're looking at. The date list will have all of the months in that year. So if you wanted to link to those specific months, you can. But here I'm just displaying them. And then also it's going to give you a reference to the previous year and next year. Once again, if you want to link to those, you'll have the option to. In the URL for this, you need to have the year in the URL. So the year is an integer, and that year will be passed to the view, and it will be used as a filter on the event. So it's going to be event.objects and then filter year equals whatever year you pass in, and then it's going to order by the date field. So the next view, similar to the year archive view, is the month archive view. So the month archive view will show you all of the objects in a given month. So here we also have the model and the date field. So same idea there. The template for the month is same idea as the year, except you're dealing with data inside of a month. So you can display the month. So Django is going to pass the month to the template. Object list is going to have all of the objects in that month ordered by the event date. Date list is going to have a list of all of the days in that month. So if you want to link to those days, you can. And then finally, you're going to have access to the previous month and next month if you want to link to those as well. The URL for this looks like this. So you have the year, and then by default, you have the month as a string. You can change this to be like a number, but by default, it's the string version of the month. So if you wanted to do January, for example, it would be JAN. So the year, the month, and then Django will automatically filter by those two and give you all of those inside the object list. After the month archive view, we have the week archive view. So the week archive view shows you all of the objects in a given week. So the same idea here is you pass in the model that you're interested in and the date field that you want to order by and filter by. And then the template for this, for the week, is a little bit different because there's no idea of a week name. So instead of passing like the number of the week, there is no value for that in the context. So you just get the object list. Likewise, they don't give you the days of the week. So like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, kind of like they have in the month giving you the list of days, or in the year giving you a list of months. They don't give you that for the week. It's just the object list. And then you have the next week and the previous week. So if you wanted to link to the next week and previous link, you could. So in urls.py, the way that this works is you pass in a year and then you pass in the number of the week. So obviously the first week of the year is going to be the week number 1, and the last week of the year is going to be week 52. And then you can, of course, pass any number between 1 and 52 for this. So after the week archive view, we have the day archive view. And the idea of the day archive view is it gives you all of the objects that occurred on a particular day. So here we have the model event here in date field, just like the other ones. And for the template, if we go over to day, so inside of here, we get the day that we're looking at. So whatever day it is, we can display that. We get the object list, so we can loop through all of the objects on that particular day. And then we get two things here. We get the next and previous month, and then we get the next and previous day. So if you want to link to those, you can. The URL for this looks like this. So you pass in the year, you pass in the month as a string by default, and then you pass in the day number that you're interested in. So for the next view, we have the today archive view, and the today archive view actually works just like the day archive view. The only difference is this only deals with whatever today is. So that means that the user doesn't have to pass in anything for the URL. So that's going to mean the URL is going to be different. So if you look at the template, we get the day. So that's always going to be today's date. The object list and the previous month and next month and previous day and next day, that's exactly the same as the day. The idea here is this is always going to be today. And if we look at the template, that means that we can have whatever URL we want for the today archive view because it's always going to default to today. We can't pass in a specific date because it's just going to be today. And then the last view is going to be the date detail view. So the date detail view is just like the detail view with the addition of the date. So that means that in the URL, we'll see in a second, it's going to be the year, month, day plus a primary key. So here we pass in the model and the date field, just like all the other ones. And then for the template, it's going to default to using the same template as the detail view. So in this case, event_details. So we'll have the name and event date. And where this is different is the URL. So the regular detail view just has the primary key, but for the date detail view, we need to pass in the date. So year, month, day, and then the primary key. So if one of these things is off, then you're going to get an error because it won't be able to find it in the database. So it's going to look for a particular primary key, and then it's going to make sure that the dates match for the object that it finds there. So those are all of the class-based views that Django gives you by default. Of course, you can customize these a lot more. You can use a bunch of different methods, and there are other attributes that you can use. But what I've shown you in this video is the minimum that you need to use to get it to work. And if you want to customize it yourself for your purposes, you can do so. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. And also, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.